Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Rant. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today. ¿Qué vamos a tener? Well, hey, Rodnin is in the house. I thought you were going to be out, buddy. Let's see what he says. Egberto got home from the dentist a few minutes ago. Was actually expecting to be late today. Anyway, I've got a couple of long ones plus an image for the screen. Okay, we'll get to that. Welcome aboard. Who's here with us so far? Yvette Avery Herod says, I saw how to send stars today. Whoop, whoop. All right, thank you, my friend. Melanie Keelan says, hola, ¿qué tal? Y yo te digo también, mi amiga Melanie, ¿cómo está usted también? The 7 Minutes with Q podcast is in there. He says, yo, what's up? I don't know. Yo, what's up? All right, Bridge MCP is in the house. Paul Fleming is in the house. Alistair Waters says hello, everybody. And we also have quien más está aquí para ver. Peggy Lopez, la preciosa con el pelo rosado. The beautiful lady with the pink hair is in the house. We have Trish Robinson. Hi, Egberto. You know I'm here to discuss healthcare. You go, girl. I'd love to hear that stuff, man. I got 2 stories for you. I'm going to start with the first one. That's actually a positive story. And then the second one is going to be the one with Chuck Pennachio. You guys know Chuck is with OnePayerStates Solution. But it's great hearing from you, Trish. Great to hear from you. Great that you're doing fine and that you're able to be here with us. Muchísimas gracias. We also have Deb Denny who says, hello, Deb Denny. I should have called out Deb and Breach first. You guys were the first one to post something online. But anyhow, let's start with Michael Rudden, which says The Guardian UK. Temperatures smashed records in U.S. went as brutal head wave continues. Records broken in Sacramento and Reno, while California close to order and roll in blackouts to ease strain on power grid. Temperatures began soaring last week and reached records in various parts of the region. California state capital Sacramento on Tuesday hit an all-time high of 116 degrees, breaking a 97-year-old record. 6 places in San Francisco Bay Area and Central Coast. I got to remember all-time record practicing temperatures, including Santa Rosa, with 115 Fahrenheit. In neighborhood Nevada, 106. Tuesday was its hottest day ever recorded in September and smashed the previous record of 96 degrees in 1944. It came within 2 degrees of an all-time high for any day of the month, 108 degrees. What's that one there? Let's see. Come on, mouse. Come back to me. Let's see what else we got here. It said in July 22nd and equaled in 2007. Okay. The thing is, we got very high temperatures all over. The grid was ultimately able to withstand this perilous stress test, even though the peak electricity demand in 52,061 megawatts, far above the previous high of 50,270 megawatts set in 2006. Infrastructure investment can't wait much longer. Look, I'm not going to finish that, but I just want to say this, guys. Think about this. We sit here and fight about ridiculous stuff when nature doesn't care whether we agree, disagree, or whatever. Nature is going to do what nature is going to do. And we get these people not worrying about it, these people just fighting about it. What's going to happen? So, folks, what we have to do as citizens is, first of all, come together. All sides have to come together and just say, we want you to do X, Y, and Z. And you know what? Electricity doesn't know if it's going into a left wing or a right wing home or what. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's just there. All right, Michael Ryan said Chris Antario tweeted this image. The story should be what happened at 6 to save our asses. My hunch is that, let me see what that is about just to be sure. Okay, let's go here and see. I don't know what happened at 6. Anybody wants to tell me what happened at 6 with the demand where it took a big plunge? Chris Ontario says, what happened at 6 to save our asses? My hunch is that's when the Cal OES alert went out on cell phones all over California and people were like, oh, turn off the lights. That was a big dip for real. Look at how it tracked. Yep, that was a big dip in the California use of electricity. Got it, Rudnin. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a cute thing to show. All right, let's continue. Common dreams. Deeply alarming. Files seized from Trump include documents on foreign nations' nuclear capacity. Derek Johnson, managing partner of Global Zero, a campaign supporting the total abolition of nuclear weapons, said in a statement late Tuesday that if you're feeling unsettled about these new revelations, it's important to keep in mind that sitting beneath that feeling is nuclear weapons. Johnson continued. My mouse went again. But the fact these secrets are about weapons that can kill hundreds of millions of people is orders of magnitude more consequential. Nuclear weapons expose Americans and the world to unacceptable high and, as we're seeing tonight, unpredictable risks. That part of the story can't be overlooked, and it's what makes it alarming. It's always worth noting that the man who carted off state secrets on a foreign nation's nuclear capability is the same one who had absolutely authority to launch a nuclear attack at any time and is doing everything he can to regain power. There's three possibilities serious regarding Trump's flippant disregard for nuclear weapons. Trump left our allies' nuclear capabilities out in the open as our allies coordinated their strategy and posture that gives away foreign policy intent. Result being, our allies will no longer believe our nation can keep secrets. 2, Trump let our rival nations' nuclear capabilities out in the open. This has the potential to get back to those nations. We'll know about them, potentially revealing means a methods, including any confidential informants we have in their ranks. This would be almost the most damaging. Trump let a nuclear developing nation progress towards building the bomb out in the open. Nearby nations who might not want that country to get the bomb might start a war over in order to delay the degrade an outcome. Continue. Look, what Trump is doing is abominable. And every Republican as well should be coming out and saying how abominable it is. Unfortunately, they won't, because again, ideology and peer pressure is keeping too many of them. Well, you know what? At least we have some good ones that are out there trying to do things. All right, let's see. Thumbs up, everybody. If you're on YouTube, please remember to give us those thumbs up. Please. Para ver. Okay, let me see if I have any more to get to before I get to the first video. All right, Bridge MCP says, Michael Rundin, it's about homosexuality. Let's see, what was that about? Notorious judge rejects coverage of groundbreaking HIV drugs. I'm going to be talking about that, Bridge. A federal judge in Texas has ruled that a provision of the Affordable Care Act that mandates free coverage of certain drugs that prevent HIV infections violate the religious belief of Christian-owned company. The litigation has been spending for more than 2 years. A group of Texas residents and employers filed suit against ACA's preventative care mandates. And the judge, so it's a judge in this circuit, this conservative circuit. All right, Eric Hayes says, question, had the lady that got violently kidnapped on Friday been carrying a gun while jogging, do you think she would have been deceased now? Yeah, the guy would have probably got her from behind before she could get a chance to use her gun, and then used her gun as a weapon on her. So, you know, the silliness of thinking that guns are the answers to everything is just that. Silly. And you know what doesn't show that it's a solution? Reality. Reality is we are the most armed country in the world. And we still have rape and all these things occurring to both armed and unarmed people. So guns, anybody who are using all these silly, childish, mindless excuses to make believe that somehow giving every American a gun is somehow going to make help. The only people get help by giving every American a gun, you know who is it? The gun manufacturer. And that's why they don't want studies to show exactly what these studies that are done outside show. Gun manufacturers are criminal, and I think until we start holding them criminally responsible for all the deaths of Americans by guns, just like we held the tobacco company responsible, it's going to continue. We have to start changing our laws to let them pay the price for the carnage that they've caused. That's what we need to do. Question from Eric. On CNN's going to get rid of their leftists. What CNN is trying to do is false equivalencies. That's why they got rid of Harwood. That's why they got rid of the other guy, and they're probably going to keep getting rid of folks who continue to say we're going to call a spade, because the new guy, the new billionaire who runs CNN, wants to have both sides. If this side says this, the other side says this, irrespective of who is right or wrong. That's criminal, and that's what's created Trump. That's what created the spy thing. That, well, the breach in our security. We can go on and on and on and on. Okay, let's see where else we go from here. Carl Cox says medical industry is corrupt. Yes, it is. Okay, let's go ahead and, oops, I didn't load the documents. I was racing to get the show on, but I'm going to put the first video on, which is this one is going. The first one is going to be a positive video, but with some caveats. I met her at the Bridge Alliance convention, where we brought people of every ideological device together, and we just spoke and spoke and spoke. So let's go ahead and play. Well, let me get the other interview loaded as well, and then let's go ahead and play the first interview. Let's go now. Welcome to Politics Done Right. We are here with Lisa Rice. Lisa, I interviewed somebody today, and it's great that I'm interviewing you as well. He had a health care in the United States. He also had health care in Canada. Of course, Canada has more of a centralized healthcare system by province. We have insurance companies with middle persons, and people are selling and all that kind of stuff. I want to get your opinion as somebody who has been vested in our system, having had a recent issue. Please feel free to talk about it if you will. What do you think is the state of our healthcare system after going through what you've gone through?
That's wow. Okay, so the background is I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. Have had multiple related and unrelated surgeries to get rid of the cancer, to get rid of other organs that might spread the cancer, et cetera, without going into too much detail. But I am lucky. I am not independently wealthy, but I have health insurance, really good health insurance. And so I was able to pick and choose my care teams. And I'm very picky. I interviewed 4 different care teams at 4 different hospitals before I decided on the care team I wanted. So I make no mistake in understanding that I'm very privileged, very privileged. I'm the vice chair of the board of directors for the National Coalition for Cancer Survivorship. And I happened to be at a dinner just last night with several ambassadors that we have. And these are volunteer advocates from all over the country, and we are funding them because they have programs that they've created in their minds, and they've come together, and we're going to help send them on their way with their funding to build these programs. And I sat by a woman who had been diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, and she was saying that she lost her care team when she moved to a different state, and she can't see the scans because in Nevada they don't have the same level of requirement for clarity of scans. So the scans that she's receiving in Nevada aren't even clear enough for her provider to understand. And she has health insurance, but but we have so many people that don't have health insurance. We have so many people who are the state. What was your question? Like, I get really. I want you to continue because you're right on point. I keep telling that story. Because I'll come in after. I mean, the state of our healthcare in this country it's miserable, unless you're independently wealthy. And even if you're independently wealthy, if you don't have an advocate, you could be getting substandard care, but you're just writing a check for it and think you're getting the best care.
One of the reasons I wanted that is you have good health insurance, and not only do you have good health insurance, you had good outcomes because you were able to select a team. You realize that you're a privileged person in being able to have all of that, and
Absolutely.
realize that you're in less than a 10% of what America has, and you, as an individual, acknowledges that we do have issues with our healthcare system. Um, are you an advocate for something like Medicare for all?
I can't speak to Medicare for all because I haven't really studied it, but I will
Okay,
say, Medicare as the coverage system, I'm not familiar
right.
enough to say that. I will say that I want every person in this country to have access to healthcare. Is that Medicare? I don't know. I don't
That's
know the mechanism, but I believe that everybody in this country should be a healthy body.
Lisa
Period.
Rice. Lisa Rice, thank you so kindly for being on Politics Done Right.
You're welcome.
Let me tell you the purpose of bringing somebody that has perfect health insurance in this debate. Believe it or not, the group of people that most prevent us from going to a system like Medicare for all, one that supports everyone, are the people right now who think they have very good insurance. As you can see, Lisa had such good insurance that she could pick and choose the team that would give her her care. And her outcomes were directly proportional to the care she was able to get. Most Americans, most women that went through what she's gone through, because I've known many of them, their HMO, their PPO restricted their choices, restricted their drugs, restricted their ability to do all that was right for their care. For their care. Unfortunately, the same people who are getting good care right now, too often, that is usually the target of the healthcare industry in turning them against Medicare for all or healthcare for all or whatever you want to call it. Now, she's not the type who knows about the Medicare for all. No, so she should. We should have done a better job that somebody like her would also know, because she's a strategist. Somebody like her should know what Medicare for all is, etc., etc., etc. But the fact that we can start getting people who have or who believe they have the perfect health care to say, yes, I want everybody to have the health care that I was awarded. I want all to have the health care that I was awarded. Eric, hey, good deal, Breach. Let's see what else. Let's see some responses we got here. My sister has, Bridge MCP says, my sister has a rare form of cancer, so rare it's not really studied, a 20% survival. Her employer let her stay on the insurance, then cut her ear off. Pig money for everything. Why did her... Bridge says, but now 2.5 years. Chemotherapy, 2 weeks. She was declared cancer-free. Again, she had some options. Trish Robinson says, that's great, Bridge, in response to Bridge. Melanie Keelan says, everybody should have a healthy body. And the great thing about it, Melanie, is you know about that. You are in Spain. Guess what Spain has? Healthcare for everybody. Everybody has good healthcare in Spain. You know, I mean, it may not be that the higher end can go to a Cadillac hospital room, but they have great healthcare. You know, continue. Carl Cox says free universal health care for all Americans is the best policy for all Americans. Letting the healthcare industry and insurance companies make windfall profits on the backs of Americans is wrong. It's anti-life. It is criminal. It is immoral. It costs more. and it turns your health issues into something for the state, into a profit, not for the state, into a profit center for the evil. All right, let's go now with Chuck Pennachio, and then we'll go ahead and take this on the other side. Welcome to a live edition from Politics Done Right at Netroots Nation 2022. Today, once again, we bring you one of the great activists out here. We have Chuck Pennachio out of Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. And you are the leader, the director of OnePayerStates, correct?
Correct. OnePayerStates.org.
OnePayerStates.org. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into OnePayerStates.
Sure. Yeah. Great pleasure to be with you, Egberto, here in Pittsburgh. I'm living here now, actually. Sharpsburg, just across the river. Great working class town. Really sweet people in this area. It's wonderful to be at Netroots Nation, to network, get to know other folks, and building the power that we need to win.
Right.
So OnePayerStates it's an organization that has been around since 2009.
Mm-hmm.
We formalized our group as a C4 organization, as a political organization, 4.5 years ago. And we're geared up to winning universal health care at the state level. We'd like to get it adopted 1, 2, 3, 4 states, model it as a successful program, and then go national with it. Similar to the way Canada got to single payer.
One province at a time.
That's right. Started in Saskatchewan.
Right.
All the other provinces looked at it, jealously said, we want to do that too.
Right.
Healthcare for everybody.
Right.
Cheaper, better, helps the economy, helps people. So it's really a very powerful movement that we've got involved here.
You know, it's interesting because we're behind the curve. You know, one of the things I think with our country is that we have a tendency, because we have this innate feeling of exceptionalism,
right.
We think we have to be the originators of everything that's good, when all over the OECD, that's these industrialized nations, we've seen that they all have some form of one payer, single payer system in some form or the other.
That's right.
That is successful. And, you know, yesterday, Chuck, I interviewed a person from Canada who naturalized American and moved back in his older years to Canada for the healthcare. And I asked him specifically if their system was better. And he said, I wouldn't talk about systems being better. As an engineer, we just speak about the different issues. And then I said, how do you judge better? And he said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, I judge better based on the outcome of the population in general. And every single of these countries have not just a small, better outcome health-wise, but economic-wise for all their citizens. So the job that you're doing is very important in educating folks doing it. So what is your plan as far as getting out there and making sure that this comes from the bottom up? Because the top down, it'll never happen.
Right. Well, we do need to create a mass movement, and that involves connecting all generations, all issues, and all policies, social justice policies. So it's not just healthcare justice, actually, that we're talking about.
Right.
That's our lead issue. But it also has to be about health justice. Mm-hmm. And health involves policing, it involves climate, it involves quality jobs, neighborhoods, access to quality food, education, all issues. We need to bridge all of these. I call it bridging our people, our politics, and our policies, the 3 Ps. People, politics, and policies, and that's the pathway to achieving justice for all, true justice for all. And that's really the promise of America that we have not been living up to, especially over the last 50 plus years when I've been organizing. I've been doing this work for 50 years.
I want to interrupt you for 1 second because I want our audience to also know that you ran for Senate here in Pennsylvania, correct?
Right.
And so this isn't something new for you. You've been out there reaching out to people with trying to establish good policy for quite some time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in running, I ran very much a Bernie-style campaign, before people were familiar with Bernie Sanders. But I was a Bernie crap before it was a thing.
Right.
And running an issue-centered campaign got people very excited.
Right.
We created a grassroots movement, not only around my Senate race, but that evolved into what is now Healthcare for All Pennsylvania, which then evolved into OnePayerStates, which is a coupling of all of the state organizations, 22 in all, that are working on achieving universal health care at the state level. And right now, the Northwest is where the best opportunity is, really. Washington and Oregon.
Washington, Oregon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very exciting.
And what other states are you working in? I know Pennsylvania is one of them.
Oh,
even
gosh.
though your Congress, your House of Representatives kind of, well, I think you guys, do you call them House of Representatives or House of Delegates here in Pennsylvania?
It's the state house.
Okay, the state house, yeah. I know maybe a bit difficult.
Representatives,
but, yeah. Well, I mean, I love what you just said about you can't just work on one issue when we're talking about the well-being of people, the health care of people. You have to talk about all issues. And in that light, I think you have established a new summit, the Intergenerational Justice Summit, that's coming up on August 27th.
Right.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. The Intergenerational Justice Summit, it's not a one-off event. This is it'll be a recurring event every 3 months or so.
Right.
And right now it's beginning informally among, you talked about bottom up.
Right.
It's got to be organic. We have to bring people into the room who can actually see the vision that we have, which again is connecting all of our issues, our people, and our policies. And so this intergenerational summit is designed to bring in a whole diversity of folks across generations and race, class, gender, geography, and bring them all into the same room to have this conversation. And it all centers on shared values.
Express what you think about what do you express as shared values? What are shared values?
It's about love. It's about compassion. It's about caring for each other. Really, it starts there. I mean, I reference it as radical hospitality, radical hope, and radical love. And that means hospitality is our hearts are open and we're welcoming of everyone in the conversation. We're not judgmental. We're here to listen, intentionally listen to people and their concerns. And what ends up happening is the conversation always swings back around to, wow, I didn't realize that you had those issues, those concerns. But then suddenly you realize the connection. The human connection is the most powerful thing that we have going for us. So radical hospitality, radical hope in a time right now when we have to admit, that we're in a world of crisis. We have got to admit this. But in order to overcome that, we have to think outside of our sort of traditional boundaries. Conventional politics are just not working. Our institutions are broken in this country. We have to figure out a way to build mass movement and power to get our political leaders moving in the right direction. And if they're not moving, we need to replace them. So, and in doing so, we have to be creative, very creative. So I'm really thrilled at the work that's being done, especially among younger folks who are willing to engage in occupation efforts to actually sometimes shame politicians into doing the right thing. And it does work.
Love, compassion. I love that you said that, hope, but I like the love and compassion so very much because what our economic system, what we have been taught by so many because they have ulterior motives, is those are things on the side, that things have to work the way they're working right now, without spirit, without heart, without thinking about humanity, if you will.
That's right.
And that you start. I mean, that just kind of warmed me when I said, what are our values, and you say, we have to look at love. We have to look at compassion. Can you really hurt somebody you love? Can you really hurt somebody or purposefully somebody you care about? No, and that's what's missing
Absolutely.
That is what's missing in our system. We've been teaching people not to care about others' humanity.
That's right. I mean, this nation was founded in an effort to create something of a balance
Right.
between democracy and the capitalism.
Right.
But capitalism is crushing our democracy right now. Predatory
Right.
capitalism. The oligarchs are in charge. The
Right.
billionaire class, they own the political system effectively.
Right.
And, you know, it was almost a miracle that we were able to get the legislative accomplishments
Right.
we were last week. And this is really, it's a challenge, but it's an exciting moment too. You know, out of crisis comes opportunity. And I think everyone needs to take a hard look in the mirror. You know, we look to others to be our leaders. We need to start looking in the mirror at ourselves. We need to be the leaders.
Yes.
We need to be the leaders.
And that's why first of all I love being here at Netroots. That's why I love speaking to folks like you, because again, you are sort of laying that path that even a lot of folks in the younger generation can see. You know, they can see, oh, these older folks are seeing a lot of what we've been trying to aspire for.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
So that is great. So tell us a little bit more about how people can be a part of this Intergenerational Justice Summit.
Well, all the information's at OnePayerStates.org. And it's a virtual event, and we have a Zoom room capacity of 1,000 people.
Right.
So it shouldn't
Come
be
on
a
in,
problem.
right,
Yeah. So, you know, people who believe in the concept of universal transformative justice, which is delivering what we need, not just what we want, but what we need, just fundamentally to go forward as a society, to heal ourselves as a
Right.
society, and to believe again in the American promise. That's really fundamentally what this is about. But connecting younger people, in particular, the millennial generation, Gen Z generation, are the most progressive
Right.
generation in our history.
Right.
And yet so many of them are disaffected, you know, feel like the system is broken, it's not working for them, and who's to argue with that?
It's not working and it is broken.
Exactly.
Well, you know, folks, please go to OnePayerStates.org. OnePayerStates.org. And yes, Chuck is asking you to visit with them at the summit, but that's a few days. We want you to make OnePayerStates.org a part of where you visit for us making change. Chuck Pennachio, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
We hope you enjoyed that. Anyhow, thank you for that that teaser. Melanie Keaton, Clara Valverde writes about this in Necropolitics versus Radical Compassion. That would be that sounds like a darn good read. Love the conversation going on between Bridge and Trish about surviving breast cancer. And there's one part of this that oh, great. Give me some context. If you have better context than I do for her, Melanie, I would love to do so. To interview Miss Valverde, that is. You know, there's something that in looking at the conversation between Trish and Bridge MCP that got to me, because Trish was talking about getting good care and Bridge and her folks got good care, and to hear this last line, "Good for you." It's not that they want, or rather, Trish is claiming that she feels terrible for people who wait, and Bridge says, "Good for you," but it's not that they wait so much as they cannot get the help. You know, we hear a lot of folks when we talk about Medicare for all and healthcare for all, etc. We hear a lot of people say, "Oh, but you know, if you think about Canada or all these places, there are waiting lines, all of that." None of that is true, right? The waiting occurs for non-essential, but if you have something like breast cancer diagnosed, you're getting into the system right away to get that taken care of. There's no waiting to see a specialist and all that kind of stuff at all. I gave you guys that interview with Mr. What's his name? Can't remember his name right now. But Usumeri, with Mr. Vic Usumeri. He came on here and he told his story about living under the American system and living under the Canadian system. Basically, the Canadian system, you stay alive. The American system, you die. When Trish is talking about feeling sorry for those who couldn't make it, and we go ahead and talk about those who can't make it because we ration, but we ration in an even more evil way, right? We simply don't give health care. We let them fill out paperwork after paperwork, knowing that some people will just get tired of filling out the paperwork and throw their hands up in the air and leave themselves God knows what device. Or Others, for the amount of time that it's taken them to get health care, would just outright die. And that's the expectation. I remember when a politician went on the guy that I interviewed here several times. Can't remember the name of the politician. He pointed out the fact Republicans want you to die quickly, and that is a whole scenario behind the American healthcare system. They want to insure you. Alan Grayson, that's the name of the person. Alan Grayson. I wonder if I can find that thing. Thank you very much for pointing that out. I've got that on my site, but I just found it on the internet, and let me go ahead and play that for you because I think it is so important.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You may recall that a few weeks ago, President Obama came to this chamber, and he addressed the chamber on health care before a joint session of the House and the Senate. During that session, I was privileged to be here, and I saw my colleagues on the far side of the aisle, the Republicans, waving pieces of paper during his speech. And I was wondering what they were. I couldn't imagine. It almost seemed like they wanted President Obama's autograph. I just didn't get it. I heard from one of my colleagues that this is what they called the Republican health care plan. I went over after the speech was over. I picked up a copy that was lying down on the Republican side, and it turns out that the Republicans' health care plan was a blank piece of paper. I inquired further, trying to find out exactly what the Republicans' health care plan is, and it's my duty and pride tonight to be able to announce exactly what the Republicans plan to do for health care in America. It's this. Very simply, it's a very simple plan. Here it is, the Republicans' health care plan for America. Don't get sick. That's right, don't get sick. If you have insurance, don't get sick. If you don't have insurance, don't get sick. If you're sick, don't get sick. Just don't get sick. That's what the Republicans have in mind for you, America. That's the Republicans' health care plan. But I think that the Republicans understand that that plan isn't always going to work. It's not a foolproof plan. So the Republicans have a backup plan in case you do get sick. If you get sick in America, this is what the Republicans want you to do. If you get sick, America, the Republican health care plan is this. Die quickly. That's right. The Republicans want you to die quickly if you get sick. Now, the Democrats have a different plan. The Democrats say that if you have health insurance, we're going to make it better. If you don't have health insurance, we're going to provide it to you. If you can't afford health insurance, then we'll help you to afford health insurance. So America gets to decide. Do you want the Democratic plan or do you want the Republican plan? Remember, the Republican plan, don't get sick. And if you do get sick, die quickly. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
I played that before, but every time I see that, it rings and rings and rings again. Every time I see that, I get upset. All right, let's get to the next major health story that we have here. And Bridge, I saw your message, and I am going to read it, my friend. I am absolutely going to read it. I didn't forget about you. How can I ever forget about Bridge MCP? So here we go with that story, if I can get to it. Para ver. Well, I need to get to the story, but while I get to the story, I want to read something from Bridge. That she thought that I wasn't going to get it out in time. As you all know, the HIV, and let me go ahead as we speak here and get the judge, let's see, Judge HIV. I want to find the article first of all before I read it. Actually, I think it was the Texas Tribune that had the article, and I want to get to it so that I have it on the screen for you. There we go. That's the one on the screen. All right, let me find Bridge MCP's message because it's important for you to understand this. The point that she wanted to put out is, as the plaintiffs argued, this is why they want to stop forcing insurance companies from giving the drug called Truvada, okay? It's as follows. As the plaintiffs argued, requiring people to pay for insurance plans that cover STD screenings and HIV prevention drugs will, quote, facilitate and encourage homosexual behavior, prostitution, sexual promiscuity, and intravenous drug use. So on that premise is why the judge is going to deny Americans a drug that will prevent them from getting contaminated by some sort of a fatal STD. Let's be clear here. Everything that you hear these people that profess to be pro-life actually is pro-death. Let's start with abortion. States that restrict abortion, the women in those states have more pregnancies. They have, you name it, they have more poor outcomes for the babies, meaning the babies die. The babies that are born into lives of distress. Many of them die. Now we have these pro-lifers, these Bible thumpers, whatever you want to call them, deciding that they don't want insurance companies to have to provide a drug because that drug, in their opinion, will cause more promiscuity, will cause more homosexuality, and all these different issues. The mindset of these people that claim to be pro-life, they don't look at the numbers that say, well, if you let's cop to what they're saying. It's what they're saying makes no sense. But let's say that Truvada is going to cause homosexuality and all these issues, right? Not giving Truvada does not stop homosexuality, does not stop promiscuity, does not stop all those things they speak about. But what it does is it means those that are engaged in that behavior will die. More of them will die. So these religious zealots that are nothing more than purveyors of evil, in effect, are supporting policies under the tenet of pro-life that actually causes more death. What gives? What gives? Please tell me. And do you really think they care about that? Here's the reality. This is really a fight between insurance companies and drug companies, right? And the religious zealots are nothing more than the pawns in the game. Oh, create a religious reason why the insurance company doesn't have to pay the drug a whole ton of money for a drug that shouldn't cost what it costs. And who always suffers in these domains? The ones that always end up suffering are the average American citizens. The average American citizens. Let's see what we have here. Maywood says, yep, remember when they were trying to pass the ACA and they tried to appeal it? Everyone asked, do you have a better plan? And then they all started waving papers. That turned out to be blank, like he is saying in this video. I remember that story well. Bree says, these religious nuts seem to be really into sex. I mean, there are some states that still have laws on the books to not have sex with sheep. Now, if they had to make a law like that, what does it mean? But you know what's so interesting? You take a look at what goes on in the evangelical movement. You take a look at what goes on right here in Ed Young's church, who has a lot to say about progressives and liberals and all of that, right? But they won't prosecute the pedophiles that's pastoring in these churches. There are they won't allow registries to follow these pedophiles, but yet they're worried about Truvada being able to be prescribed to people. Folks, we have to speak up. We have to tell the stories correctly, because what happens is this. oh, they go to church on Sundays and they tell the story. We don't want promiscuity. We don't want homosexuality. We don't want these things. So these drugs are going to, and they create this alternate state of reality without pushback, right? And what is the pushback to these evangelicals? These evangelicals are killing people. These evangelicals are killing women. These evangelicals are doing these things. And we have to point out the other side. Otherwise, people think, oh, yeah, they may be strict, but they're Christians and they want to save lives. No, they're evil. They're causing the deaths of people. And we have to articulate it that way. As long as we just let it pass, their evil will continue. Peggy says, proof death rather than medical care. I thought that this is a capitalist country. Well, it is a capitalist country. And when your source of production is no longer productive, they generally get rid of it. A sick human being is a productive a unit of production that is malfunctioning and that actually costs the capitalist society. So remember that sickness, a sick body, just like when you had slavery, right? The reason why the slave owner wanted to either there were several things that were occurring. They wanted to get rid of the rebellious ones that may infect the other slaves to let them fight for their freedom. So that's why they castrated them, killed them, and did the most evil thing to their bodies. They created the definition of evil, those slave owners. Now, they also wanted to keep them fairly healthy so that they could still do a day's work. But if they couldn't do a day's work, and they were rebellious, the only thing good for them is death. Because otherwise, in a capitalist society, they're just costing. In a capitalist society, they're not humans, they just cost. And all these great folks that are running around the place trying to protect capitalism and try to say capitalism is freedom, forget that most important tenet. If you are a sick person and somebody can't make a profit off of you. Now, a sick person, a hospital can make a profit off of you, but you cost an insurance company money. Who wins? I know who will always lose. You. Unless we change our system into a system that is worthwhile. All right, we have Bridge MCP says most of these churches have huge sexual accusations with children and men with boys all the time. Evangelical movement purity promises no sex until marriage. Those girls were 4 times more likely to engage in anal sex and 6 times more likely to engage in oral sex. And, again, consequences. Melanie says, I lost my best friend on July 1st. Raised upper middle class. He died poor and much too quickly. Sorry to hear about that, Melanie. Sorry to hear about that. Paul Fleming says, I think we lost our Trumpists from the show today. No, maybe they're just too embarrassed to try to create a defense where there's no defense. Trish Robinson says, I also lost my best friend 10 years ago. Because she had no insurance and was ignored by the healthcare system, it was such a tragedy. Carl Cox, capitalism works only for the mega rich corporations, no one else. Yeah, that's true. Bridge MCP says, who remembers the movie Solvent Greens? A nightmarish futuristic fantasy about the controlling power of big corporation. And I don't remember the movie. I remember the name, but it's probably one that I need to see. Folks, it's on Prime Video for rent or buy, $2.99. I just saw it on the list right here. So, so it's on Prime Video. Let's see. Yeah, para ver. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a link to the video that Solient Green that Bridge MCP just brought for us. Let me get a link for it real quickly. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to get a link for Solient Green right now. so that you can all go and see it. Okay, here is the link to the movie that Bridge MCP was just talking about. Is that it? Let me get it. Let me get a real link for it. Egberto, ¿qué es lo que te pasa? Tiene que encontrar ese link, hermano. Vamos a ver si lo puedo conseguir. Copy, and let's see if that's it. There's the link. Salient green, folks. There it is. Bruce says M. Shriton. What is that, Bruce? I don't know what that is. Eric says, Bridge MCP not coming off that way. Melanie says, kind of too realistic. I'll take a look. Peggy Lopez says, spoiler alert. People were the food sold by the capitalists. Soylent Green is a good one in the 1984 vein. Thank you, Bruce. We're coming close to the end of the show. Give me stuff that you want me to talk about real quick in 3 minutes. What I didn't know was that Soylent Green was set in dystopian 2022. I didn't know that. I got to check out the movie and see what it's all about. Michael Tritton is a swear author. Thank you, brother, for clarifying. Anything else anybody wants to say before we close? Oh, I didn't do my ask today, did I? Oops. There we go. Here we go.
Politics Done Right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com.
Hey folks, we are in power failure mode right now. I hear the backup is about to go out. All the lights are out because we are having a power failure. Folks, we're having a power failure. I think I'm still transmitting. It seems like because we're in the backup power system here, but that's only going to last a few seconds. So what I want to say is thank you so kindly for being here. Thank you for that super chat, Bridge MCP. Thank you for that super chat. You guys are wonderful. I simply could not do this without you. I know these computers are going to go down in a few seconds. So my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.